So what is bookkeeping? Now, I know what you're probably thinking. It doesn't exactly sound like the most exciting topic in the world, right? But what if I told you it's one of the absolute most critical foundations for any successful business, whether it's big or small? Today, we're going to break down exactly what it is, why it's kind of a secret weapon for successful companies, and what the people in charge of it actually do day to day. All right, let's dive in.
Okay, let's start with the big picture. If you run a business, you know that every single day you're faced with some pretty high-stakes decisions. And you know what? Almost every single one of them boils down to one thing: money.
Just think about all the choices that are constantly on your plate. Should you hire that amazing person you just interviewed? Is now really the right time to pour a bunch of cash into that big marketing campaign? Or hey, maybe you just want to throw a huge party for the team to boost morale. The real question is, are you making these calls based on solid data, or is it more of a gut feeling? How do you actually know if you can afford any of it?
Well, the simple truth is you can't. Without the right information, you're not really making a decision, you're just guessing. It's kind of like trying to navigate a ship in the middle of a storm, but you don't have a compass. You're just hoping for the best and, well, bracing for the worst.
And this is exactly where bookkeeping comes in. It is the compass. It's the system that's designed to give you the clarity you need to steer that ship right out of the storm and get to where you're trying to go.
So what are we really talking about here? At its very core, bookkeeping is just the disciplined practice of tracking all of a business's financial transactions. It's not about boring numbers in a dusty old ledger. It's about creating this ongoing, super detailed story of where every single dollar comes from and exactly where it goes.
And that really gets to the heart of it. There's a saying that timely and accurate bookkeeping is one of the foundations of a successful business. And you know what? That is not an exaggeration. It is the bedrock. Without it, every single strategic decision you make is basically built on shaky ground. This is how companies, even ones that look profitable, suddenly run out of cash. It's how they fail an audit. It all comes back to this.
Okay, so we know it's vital, but what does the work actually look like? Day in, day out, what is a bookkeeper really doing? Let's get into the nitty-gritty.
It really boils down to this clear, four-step process that turns all this raw data into smart decisions. First up, you've got recording. This is just the disciplined data entry of every single bill, every sale, every employee timesheet. Then comes processing. This is where the action happens. Bills get paid, people get their paychecks, but all that raw data is messy. So the third step is summarizing. A bookkeeper takes thousands of those individual transactions and condenses them into these really meaningful snapshots of the business's health. And finally, the most crucial step, reporting. Those clear, summarized reports get delivered to the decision makers, turning all that data into the insight they need to make those smart calls we were talking about earlier.
Now, it's really easy to think that this level of detail is just for huge corporations. But honestly, these core principles, they apply to every single business out there, from a solo freelancer working from their kitchen table all the way up to a global giant. The only thing that changes is the scale.
Let's look at how this plays out in the real world. A freelance writer, for example, is probably their own bookkeeper, just doing some basic tracking of their income and expenses. Scale that up to, say, a local beauty salon. Now you might have the owner or maybe a part-time bookkeeper who's handling supplier bills and running payroll for a small team. But then, look at a giant like Microsoft. They have hundreds of specialized staff. People whose entire job is just payroll, or clerks in a department called accounts payable who only focus on paying the company's bills. See? The core tasks are exactly the same, but the scale is just completely different.
So after all that, what's the bottom line here? What's the ultimate purpose of all this recording and processing and summarizing?
It all comes down to this, plain and simple. Good information powers good decisions. At the end of the day, bookkeeping isn't really about tracking the past. It's about creating the clear, factual insight you need to build a successful future. It's how you spot which of your services is the most profitable, or how you know with total confidence that you're ready to apply for that big loan to expand.
And that brings us to the final thought I want to leave you with. It all comes down to a single, powerful question that you should be asking yourself whether you're a one-person shop or a growing company. And that question is your business really built on a solid foundation of timely and accurate financial information?